So this is my second video, and this video I wanted to be about sharing the elimination diet, sharing how I did it, more detailed instruction, and kind of like what I experienced, what really good info I could give to you guys. Bear with me, I'm more than a little fatigued today, so. Okay, so this is the Elimination Diet book. This is the one that Tom Malter wrote, and he's a functional medicine practitioner. Really brilliant man, very smart, knows his stuff. So I'd highly recommend if you're wanting to try changing your diet and for reducing pain, reducing pretty much any health symptoms you're having, this is a good place to start. This is the best place to start, actually. So I'd start here, grab this book. Like I said in my first video, this diet was a game changer for me because it's not like every other diet that you hear of where it's like, oh, follow this and everything's gonna go perfectly for you. And now, because I've tried so many things, I have a lot of experience over the last 15 years, I know that that's bullshit. That's not how it works. Everyone is so different. There's people that are okay eating grains, and then there's people that feel terrible eating grains. There's people that can get away with eating dairy, and there's people that aren't, that can't. And the elimination diet is so great because it's not just like a one, follow this diet and you will get better fix. This is a lifestyle change, and you are figuring out what foods inflame you. And when it comes to autoimmune diseases, what I've learned is our bodies are hyper-reactive. For whatever reason, we don't know yet. Our bodies are just like so incredibly reactive to everything. So many things that comes into contact with our immune system is like, whoa, and blow up. And then we get sore, we get inflamed, we get fatigue, we get all these horrible symptoms. And until we find out what those things are that we're putting in, we're going to be in that hyper-inflammation state. And I said in my last video that, for example, I did the paleo diet, and the paleo diet helped because it was cutting out a lot of the foods that my body was reacting to. So I was reacting to the grains, all grains, corn, wheat, rice, all of those, right? Really badly, intense reactions. Within a half an hour of eating them, I'd get nauseous, I would get hot, and then within a few hours, I was so inflamed that I couldn't lift my arms. My hands would swell up like my fingers like sausages. It was intense. Dairy, right? That was another thing that was really intense. Coffee. So the paleo diet really helped me figure out my body's reactive, and I can't just get away with eating whatever I want anymore if I want to keep my inflammation down. The elimination diet enables you to figure out what foods are inflaming you for you, not for everyone, just for you. And it consists of 3 phases. So phase 1 is your detox, dampening down your immune response, calming down your system, and letting your digestion rest. So in the book it explains everything in great detail, but essentially what you're doing is phase 1 for 2 to 3 days. I would go for as long as you can. I actually went for 5 days. You go on a juice and soup fast, essentially. So all you're having is you're juicing vegetables and fruits, and you are making pureed soups that are really easy for your digestion, with lots and lots of vegetables. And they have tons of recipes in this book, like so many recipes that you can follow. So it's not like you have to figure out, oh no, what am I gonna do? Like, what the hell am I gonna make? It's all in here, and they give you recipes. They actually lay it out for you really simply. And of course, if you're starting from a place that I did, for example, there's certain things in here that are guidelines. Like, for example, I knew that carrots were something that I can't tolerate a lot of, and carrot juice is a big thing. So it's like, well, obviously leave out carrot juice and substitute for celery juice or something else, right? So if you already know something bothers you, keep that in mind. But anyway, so doing that for 3 days resets your digestion, it calms down your immune system, and it gives your body a break and the ability to heal and rest. And all the vegetables, you get lots of nutrients, you get everything your body needs. It is difficult because you're having a liquid diet. No liquid diet is easy, but if it's temporary and it's part of the process, you'll be able to do it. Preparation is really important. I took a lot of time prepping. I made all the soups in advance, so they and then froze them, and I just took them out as I needed them. I borrowed a juicer from a friend instead of buying one, because I didn't know if I don't want to buy an expensive juicer, if I'm not going to use it after the 5 days. So that's something to think about as well. After the 2 to 5 days, there's phase 2. And phase 2 is 3 to 14 days, and that's just a guideline. The purpose of phase 2 is to get rid of all the most common inflammatory foods in your diet. So, that's like grains, dairy, soy, legumes, things that a lot of autoimmune people have issues with. For whatever reason that is, they just have issues with it. Our bodies are reacting strongly to them. So in the book, it says from 3 to 14 days. For me, I wanted to do it for a month for this reason, because in the book he talks about our bodies actually, we don't fully get rid of what's in our system for about a month. So if you eat wheat or something, that's going to be in your system for about a month in your blood, and when it's fully out, that's when you start reaping the benefits and noticing the biggest changes. So I decided I'm going to do it for a month. So the phase 2, again, there's everything in the book you need. It gives you recipes, it tells you what foods to stay away from, and you follow that religiously. And something else that he talks about is, you can kind of take this as depressing, but I kind of see it as just a really helpful tool. He said that he's talked to many functional medicine practitioners, and they all say the same thing, that 100% effort equals 100% results, but 99% effort equals 0 results or very little results. And I've really found that to be true, as scary as that is. When it comes to food, even just a little bit can set your body over the edge. If you're sensitive as me, and I'm extremely sensitive, if I have the tiniest little sip of something I shouldn't, or it's just a nibble, it won't bother me. Trust me, it will set you back, and you will not see the results of doing this. You have to be 100% diligent. and committed to put in the effort to cut out all the foods they say and really stick to it for that good month, you know? So phase 2 is really awesome, because after a month, that's when you start really noticing, like, I feel a lot better. And that's when I started feeling like I'm feeling quite a bit better, but I'm still experiencing pain. And that's where the troubleshooting comes in on phase 3. So phase 3 is reintroduction, and you're reintroducing foods that you cut out, and you're seeing how you react to them. But the problem for me was you're not supposed to continue on to phase 3 until you've gotten to a place where you're like feeling amazing. You've like pretty much zero pain. Most of your symptoms have left. You're feeling really good, because then it's hard to tell if you put a food back in, like rice for example, and you have a reaction. It's sometimes hard to know, because you're already a bit in pain, if that food's bothering you or not. So for me, I had to continue on phase 2, and I did a food journal, and he talks about a food journal in here, and that's very important. You have to write down what you're eating, what symptoms you're having, your bowel movements, how you're sleeping, just how you're feeling in general. And then you're able to pinpoint, like, oh, I'm seeing a pattern here. You know, every day I have, say, eggs, or every day I have carrots, or whatever it is. And then a few hours later, I'm noticing these symptoms. Well, it's like, well, then try cutting out that food and see what happens. And it might take a while, and you have to be patient. Like, you know, for example, I was like, I kept making this soup. I'm like, every time I make this soup, a few hours later I get sore and inflamed. I'm like, what is going on? What is it, you know? And I had to stop and think and break down everything I was putting in the soup. I'm like, okay, I put carrots, and I put ginger and celery and chicken and whatever. And after a while I broke down that I was having a reaction to ginger, and I was having a reaction to carrots. So I cut those out of the soup. I was fine. But sometimes it comes to the point where you need to be so strict, and you need to actually like literally have like one food a day. And it's difficult, but so worth it if you put in the time and energy. I remember there was one day I was trying to get to the bottom of what was inflaming me, because I'm like, okay, I know that this, and this food are okay, but there's like, you know, 4 other foods that I'm like, I'm not sure. And then you kind of get it in your head too, where you're like, how could carrots be inflaming me? How is that even possible? But try not to think that way, because I've found that it doesn't matter if it's a healthy food. Sometimes, for whatever reason, because of our condition, our bodies are just hyper reactive to that food, and I don't know why that is, but it just is. So be very open to exploring and being really diligent in testing those foods out. So one day I just ate salad all day long, I think for a few days, and then I was like pain-free, like essentially pain-free. I was eating chicken and salad and like a homemade dressing, like it was like apple cider vinegar and olive oil. And I was like, okay, I know I'm good with these foods because I have like no pain. And then the next day I had carrots, and I reacted, and I was like, okay, I know it's the carrots then. So I removed the carrots from my diet, move on to the next thing. And the thing is with the elimination, the reintroduction phase is, you know, after you eat carrots, you have that reaction, there's gonna be a time period where you're gonna be sore, and you need to let your body calm down again before you retest another food. So I ate the carrot. It took me about a week, and to get back to like pretty much a zero pain. So keep that in mind. You know, some people, maybe it won't take you as long, but it takes me that long, like a week, for my body to calm down, you know, get out of my system a bit, and it's like, okay, now I'm back at a pretty much zero pain, 1 out of 10 pain. Let's test another food. So then I try another food, and then there was also foods too that, like eggs, for example. I can tolerate some eggs, but if I have it every single day for like a week, I get like slightly sore. It's like my immune system's a little bit reactive. So there's going to be things like that too, where it's like you have a threshold and you don't want to go beyond that threshold. So it's all about finding your balance and finding what you react to and what foods your body is saying no to. So that's phase 3 is reintroduction. So you're gonna get to that baseline where you feel really good, there's like very little pain, and then you're gonna reintroduce each food one at a time, slow but sure, and you're gonna do a food journal and you're gonna write down everything, because you know, all that hard work you don't want to forget if you know, rice inflames you, or carrots or butternut squash or apples or whatever it is. So you write it all down, and then you have it there, and you know, these foods don't agree with me, these foods do agree with me, let's stick to these foods. And so that's where I'm at now. It took me about a full year to test every food. There were certain foods that I couldn't test because of cross-contamination. Like nuts are really difficult, but I have found nuts this Christmas that are like still in the shell that you crack yourself. And I found that I do react to nuts. It's one of those things where I can have like one nut every once in a while or something, but other than that, I seem to react. So for me, I pretty much react to like, I'm react to all grains, all dairy, all legumes, beans, nuts, and most root vegetables, which is odd, like yam and sweet potato and carrots and things like that. So it's tricky, and some of those I can take in very small amounts if I'm, you know, very careful and I just have a tiny little bit of it. But yeah, so I pretty much eat like low carb vegetables. Brassicas family is really important. Celery, mushrooms, you know, so I have fruit and lots of different types of meat, you know, fish and lamb and beef and chicken and turkey and things like that. Another really important part of this process is purifying your water. Depending on where you live, you might have tons of chlorine and fluoride in your water. I bought a Berkey filter. They're charcoal filters with fluoride filters on the bottom, and you just pour the water in, it pours through the bottom, and then I have mineral stones in the bottom. I can taste a huge difference, and so I think that's really important. That's something else that I did. And I got an air purifier. If you have an autoimmune disease, you probably have seasonal allergies, or most people do, and that's actually really helped, especially in the summer, because I have like hay fever. I react to, you know, dandelions and grass and like so much stuff, dust. Like I'm just very sensitive, so at least in the house that can be kind of an oasis for me. Something else to think about is, you know, teas, spices, you know, packaged foods. I pretty much have to stay away from most packaged foods, either because they have, you know, cross-contamination, or they have things in it that, like guar gum and things that, or soy, things like that might bother you. So taking like a whole food approach and, staying in the produce aisle is really important too. It's one of those things you have to just test out the packaged food. But yeah, things that I didn't think about until later was spices. There's certain spices where there's a whole bunch of different things in it, right? And some, I actually have had spices that have had sugar added to it. I react to sugar, like refined sugar. Mixes like chai spice, I react to ginger. So it's like you want to find individual spices that you can test out as well. Something else that has been huge is supplements. So there's only 2 brands really that I trust, and that's Thorne Research and AOR. Those are the only brands that I trust. I've eliminated so many other brands of supplements because I would be like at a zero pain, for example, with my diet, and I was doing really well, and then I would introduce a new supplement. I think the brand was, it was Pure Encapsulations. And I thought they were a trustworthy brand, and I just got like ascorbic acid, vitamin C. And I took that, and I noticed I started getting more and more inflamed, and it was getting really bad. And I'm like, what is going on? I haven't changed anything in my diet. And I'm like, what have I put in that's new? What's new? And sure enough, pops into my head that Pure Encapsulations vitamin C. That's when I started getting sore. I cut it out. My pain went away after a few days. So it's figuring out your body, and it's also being really hyper aware that we can't trust every supplement brand. A lot of them, they don't care about you. They just care about making money, and they'll put fillers, they'll put corn fillers and wheat fillers and stuff in it that is not on the label. They lie about it. They'll say gluten-free and whatever, and okay, well, it's gluten-free, but there's corn filler, you know what I mean? So even a tiny capsule with a little bit of corn filler can set you off, and so be really aware of that as well. That's something else that I really learned, that you think you can trust companies, but a lot of them you can't. I've found like 90% of supplement companies I can't trust. So I just stick to those 2 brands. And whenever I'm trying a new supplement, if it's a different brand or a new supplement, say it's not in those 2 brands, then I'm really hyper aware, and I'm like, okay, let's see, I'm gonna start this new supplement. Let's do a food journal again, write down how I'm feeling the next few days, and if I notice any changes. So be aware of that. Something else too that is good to think about is certain herbs, like ginger, for example. They can be immune boosting and immune system stimulating and very warming. So, ginger and echinacea and things like that, they say, oh, they're so good for you, and they are good for you. But for someone with an overactive immune system and an autoimmune disease, those things can be too much, and they can stimulate the immune system, and then your body attacks your joints more. So that's something else that is really important to look at and just be aware of when you're doing this elimination diet and figuring out what are the things that are bothering you. So I think I'll leave it at that for today. I can't think of anything else to talk about at the moment, but I'm sure there will be more. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Please post any questions you have. If I've forgotten anything, I'd love to talk about it and give you more tools and more information. to you later.